Baruch here with genConnect.com, and we're joined today by singer, songwriter, activist Annie Lennox. How are you?
I'm terrific, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yes, well, you don't need to thank me.
We didn't have to force you to this, right?
Well, it's the first time I've been to the Aspen Ideas event, and the location is absolutely staggering. But apart from that, the things that are happening here are so diverse and so interesting, and it's very hard to just decide exactly which subject you're going to choose to do, because every day there's something phenomenal to explore.
Oh yeah, and you're afraid you're going to miss out if you choose the wrong one, but
A little bit.
you can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong.
And I was amazed, you've been all around the world, and you said that this is one of the most spectacular places you've ever seen.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah.
And it really forces you to become inspired, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but you see, for me, in contrast, I have to say that I've been to places that are absolutely beautiful looking, but the people in these circumstances sometimes are living with devastation.
Of course.
Because I'm talking about HIV and AIDS now.
Yeah.
And so superficial beauty is one thing, and we're enjoying all the facilities that we have here, and that is fantastic. But the thing that really motivates me more than anything is that I think that Westerners, like myself, are so hugely resourced. We have so much,
Right.
and the rest of the world, billions of people, have so little. And that balance needs to be addressed. And so that's part of my campaigning work is about healthcare, and it's about how women and children are affected. I'm a woman myself, I'm a mother, and that is my gender in a way, is my direct linkage to women in the developing world who have no access to this, anything near this dream that we're living here in Aspen. So that is always something that I remember, and it motivates me to do what I do.
You could have chosen any cause to really focus on.
Oh,
Why
yes.
did you choose HIV and AIDS?
Surely. You're right. At the time, a few years ago, I was almost becoming inundated with requests to represent different causes. And I was very honoured and touched that I was personally in a position where I could influence other people or support or help or magnify whatever it be, whether it be cancer or some difficulties. But human problems are infinite, and there's no end to it. And so to arbitrarily choose something is not maybe the best way to do it. Something almost has to find you.
Right.
Something that you connect with so deeply that you can't get away from. And I think, and I know, that the turning point for me, where I had a paradigm shift, was when I visited South Africa in 2003. I was invited to perform in a concert that was to launch Nelson Mandela's 46664 HIV and AIDS Foundation at the time. And all the musicians took part in this big concert, which was extraordinary. But the following day, Nelson Mandela invited everyone to join him on Robben Island, which was a hugely significant moment for all of us. He addressed the international press, and he said very clearly, "My country, the Rainbow Nation of South Africa, is facing a genocide, a virtual genocide. Through the virus, HIV and AIDS is devastating my countrymen and women. And women in particular are right at the coalface of that epidemic." And I hadn't, to witness Nelson Mandela stand in front of his former prison cell and tell the world that this is happening. And I could see, actually, I said, well, where are the headlines? Who's talking about this? This should be everywhere. We should all know this. Why aren't people doing something about this? And at the time, as I discovered, the government at the time, in the form of the president and the health minister, had created a bottleneck to effective response to the epidemic. That's a whole other story in itself. Sure. But for my own sense, I woke up and I said, I'm a mother, I'm a woman, I must do something. I was taken, because of 46664, they took us to orphanages, to clinics, to hospitals, and also later on, because of a wonderful organisation in Great Britain, which a lot of people know, called Comic Relief, I was invited to go and visit projects that were HIV related, especially towards women and children. That was really, I said, that's my linkage. That is the portal through which I will address HIV and AIDS, because it's complex. Right. And it affects people in different walks of life, from different parts of society. And the main thing about HIV and AIDS is that it is so profoundly affected with stigma, silence, fear, secrecy. Nobody wants to talk about it still to this day. So the very fact that we're able to talk about it now is really significant.
What's at the root of the issue? Is it a human rights issue?
Many things are at the root of HIV, of course. The root of it, to me, is about human behavior. Human beings are complex.
Right.
Our behaviors are complex and they're contradictory. But for me, I link it absolutely to human rights, civil rights, women's rights. The fact that there's no child today needs to be born with HIV. There's virtually no child in the Western world born nowadays with the HIV virus. We have preventative treatment. We have medication that can prevent that from happening. An HIV positive mother does not have to give birth to an HIV positive child. That's fact. We want that spread out into the sub-Saharan continent where you have the highest instances of HIV and AIDS. I am a UNAIDS ambassador. I work with Michelle Sidibe, who's the director of UNAIDS. We travelled together over the last few years. There has been a strategic plan that was launched by the UN in 2011. It was, 22 different African countries signed up to this plan, and progress has been made. That's fantastic. Access to treatment has doubled up. Mortality rates are going down by half. But we're not through it yet. We're not through it yet. And that is what is so challenging. When you have an absolute crisis, when you see people dying in their millions, that's very hard. When you see progress being made, fantastic. And you know what happens then? The feet start to go off the accelerator.
Yeah.
And we start to think...
Become complacent.
Yeah, the battle, we've done it.
Right.
We haven't done it yet. We can do it, and that's what's so important, and that's the message. We can do it. We can see the end of pediatric HIV. We can see this. That's our goal. We want to see that goal. We want to see the end of HIV and AIDS. We don't have a vaccine. We don't have an absolute cure, but we have treatment, and we can do a lot with that.
You know, it is so impactful to witness your passion for this cause. And another thing that you've been so passionate about, of course, is music. You've sold over 80 million records. Do you find a common source of inspiration for these two passions of yours?
I'm a passionate person.
I see that. It's wonderful.
And music, writing, performance, dialogue, all of this, communicating with people has been my driver. That I feel so strongly about things. I need to express how I feel. So music in my youth, let's say, in all the decades of I was a professional musician from the age of about 21 or 22. And I'm 58 now. And I think that we can evolve. I'm evolving. I became a mother. It changed my life. It changed my world. I was an older mother in a way. I was 36. Which is, I wasn't 26. I'm so grateful for that. And I want to speak for all mothers, for women, because there's so much to be done in terms of women's rights. We're talking about women's rights here in the Western countries. We're not getting equal pay. We're not becoming the heads of global corporate organizations. But in the developing countries, women don't even have the very first access to the most fundamental things. They don't have access to decent healthcare. They don't have access to education. They don't have access to legislative, protective structures that will make sure that they have rights, and those rights are put in place. And I am passionate about that. And so I'm very, honoured to have this platform to talk to you, to have been given, to be asked to have that platform is phenomenal. It's something that I can live my life and say that's something I can do.
What do you feel has been the broader impact of your music on the world?
I don't know. It's not for me to say. That's not for me to say.
What do you see as the potential of music to have a broader impact?
Well, I think that music is a phenomenal language of the heart, the mind, the intellect, you see, everything. And it connects us, and from all cultures, from all backgrounds, from all walks of life. Music is the language of the soul, and it's healing. It does so many things. It does so many things. But I think that today, the Western industrialization of music has become something that has, in a way, it's not using its full potential. I really feel so. The potential is there. We can do so much more through music. And I'd like to see more of that done.
What is the potential?
It works in so many different ways as this connective force that, it starts even with a newborn baby. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were saying, newborn premature babies, they have music therapy in these units, and they play music to these newborn babies who have really compromised systems. That maybe their hearts they have some problem, heart problem. And they play music, and the baby's heart rate starts to settle down. The baby starts to respond in a positive way. So there's very subtle ways that music can also be helped very productively. Here at Aspen yesterday, I discovered an incredible organization called Sing for Hope. And they work with young men, soldiers who've been in combat, whose lives have been devastated because they've lost their limbs, and they're in hospital for maybe 3 years at a time. And through making music, with the connection with this organization, they have a transformative experience, and they have hope again. And so music works in the most extraordinary healing ways. Yeah, it's a powerful force. It isn't just about selling. Shouldn't be necessarily about fame and celebrity. All these things that we're so focused on, we can do so much better than that.
Throughout this whole journey of yours, what has been the best piece of advice that you've received?
Remember to breathe.
That is important.
It's important to...
Not just when you're singing.
Yeah, remember to breathe, not just when you're singing. No, I think it's important to... advice is fine. There's so much advice that you can have. But unless you can actually put it into practice, then it's just another useless piece of information. But I think, you travel through so many different... I have traveled through so many different experiences. And I think it's very, very important to stay grounded, to remain human, because that's what you are. At the end of the day, you take nothing with you. Everything you do is temporary. All of us have that common denominator. We're born, we live, we'll die. So, make the most of that time that we have. That's very important. Make the most of it in the best way possible.
Thank you, Annie Lennox. And for more with Annie Lennox and her incredible Sing campaign, be sure to check out genConnect.com.